Our grotesque tale actually starts with this plain old beach until all the party people get it on at night. Screaming, singing music, and bad decisions that'll drive the neighbors crazy. It was all here during the night.
Hey, we got the Steves, guys.
The nerdy cameraman introduces us to Kaylee, a somewhat chill girl who seems to be troubled by something. So the camera dude is surprised she even showed up. He offers her a drink, but she's alright. Suddenly, the life of the party, Jonah, comes into the beach in his sleek whip, and then he sucks face with a girl. Somehow this makes Kaylee drink. Suddenly, Mitch is making every guest at the party put their phones in a bag, no exceptions. And they try to take the camera phone away from this dude, but he ran away too fast. Later on at the party, things get more wet and wild, as Gilbert, the big smoke here, gets a mouthful of alcohol. Then he and some other dude found some gooey acorn at the beach. Totally looks alien. And like all idiots, they try to burn it. Things almost get heated because Gilbert was called an idiot, and then Mitch and Kaylee try to have a moment. Then some dude keeps blasting dubstep as this mongrel keeps doing backflips like an OD'd Speedy Gonzales. More mouths collide. Then Gilbert falls asleep and all the dudes vandalize his face with a Sharpie. Mitch catches this and reminds everyone of the Vegas rules. Nothing leaves this beach. Much later, during the late morning, everyone's tuckered out. Some are asleep in a car, others at a beach, and Kaylee and Mitch at the lifeguard house. Kaylee wakes up and tries to tell off Mitch because she knows about the Vegas rules.
Hey.
He then asks her if she wants to get wet, meaning surf, get your mind out the gutter. But she just wants to go home. Jonah wakes up and he's greeted by a kiss from his girl. Then Kaylee sees something pull a seagull from underneath the beach. Kaylee puts two and two together. So Vance here wants to help her. The gang tries to stop him, but he just had to be a Boy Scout and hop out of that car. He tries to run for her, but he trips, and he doesn't get up. The action does ramp up fast in this movie. Soon he screams out Ronnie's name for help. Then Jonah wants to help, but he gets stopped by the gang not to. They gotta do something. So Jonah tries to start the car to come to him, but no luck.
Baby, look at me! Look at me, baby!
Kaylee tells Mitch to find something to pull Vance with, so he looks for rope in the lifeguard shed. Ronnie tries to reassure Vance from afar, and then Mitch comes with the rope and floats. He throws it, but it's too late because something grossly is eating Vance's face off. Ronnie looks in horror and tries to convince him to get up, but he sinks into the sand. The remaining party people are in total disbelief of what they just witnessed.
The sand ate him! It devoured him!
So they have a brainless debate about it. Mitch doesn't know what he saw, and Jonah thinks it was quicksand, while Ronnie here thinks it's chemicals that Alex Jones always talks about, thinking it's some sort of chemical or oil that ate up Vance. And then she suddenly just blames the government. I don't know what to say. They need to do something about it though. But we got those Vegas rules with all the phones in the trunk. Mitch reassures them that as long as they stay away from the sand, they're gonna be alright. But Shonda does agree with Mitch, so he tells the three in the car to start it up, pick the two of them up from the lifeguard's house, drive away, and let the local authorities handle it.
Jonah, stop. Lights.
Too bad, cause no matter how much Jonah tries to rev up that car, batteries are empty. Mitch is hoping that somebody will come by to rescue him, but then Kaylee does something risky. Of course, her friends try to stop her, but she just wants everybody to shut up for a second cause look, every time something gets near the sand, small tentacles come out of there. Speak of the devil, cause Gilbert just woke up. He's stuck in a barrel, so he's demanding to be taken out of it. They all warn him to stay still cause, something's in the sand. They even straight up say that Marcia and Vance got turned into sand soup.
Yeah, man, there's something in it,
But of course, Gilbert's in disbelief. They try to convince him that something's in that sand, and they're begging him to just chill and wait for that tide that's coming in 2 hours that might sway him to safety. So he agrees, and then Mitch and Kaylee retreat to the lifeguard's post. Jonah's actually looking jealous, but Shonda tells him to just let him go. Soon, everyone is left to do nothing but sit tight. Kaylee's asking why Mitch lied to Gilbert about the tide, and he says he did it to give him hope. Then Kaylee drinks to that. Ronnie's left writing memoirs in a notebook, and it turns out to be a farewell letter to her mom. Hours pass by and everyone just either gets bored or sleeps it off. While Gilbert is left feeling the constant pain of that barrel etching into him, Kaylee scavenges the items left in the lifeguard's post. Then she's asking Mitch about what happened last night. Mitch replies that Kaylee didn't like seeing Jonah and Shanda together. So he says they just walked on the beach, had a few drinks and talked. Then they just collapsed at the lifeguard's place. She already knew this, and she was actually talking about the beach itself thanks to the thing eating their friends. Suddenly, Kaylee finds sunblock and gives it to Shanda and the others. Then she's asking what happened the night before. Nobody seems to grasp her question, like how Gilbert just wants to be freed, but Jonah agrees that they should try to recall what happened the night prior, since it might reveal some new light on this subject. Reveal it shall, because Kaylee remembers that everyone else was sleeping on the sand, so they realize everyone else got turned into beach chow.
Everyone?
Ronnie and Kaylee start crying, and Gilbert can't believe this, total denial, thinking it's all a prank. He soon starts to rumble the barrel, but Jonah tries calming him down with sunblock. Well, good luck with that. Jonah just wants to give it to him because he's frying like a fat hot dog under the sun. So he just throws it at him, and he thanks him. He's in a state of relief now when he finally applies that block to his burning skin. Suddenly, Kaylee notices the giant alien-like shells on the beach. It's the gooey acorn thing from last night, which Gilbert says he and Vance spotted it last night. Kaylee remembers it wasn't cracked open though, so they're speculating it might be a monster that came out of there.
What, so it's alive?
They're debating if it's alive or not, and I tell you, I don't know what to say. Kaylee's thinking the monster that came out of that egg might not be too big, so she hatches an idea. Getting some raw hot dogs from the lifeguard's post, Kaylee throws one of them in the sand, and that sand gobbles it up. Well, Kaylee's trying to estimate how big it is by making the distance between each throw further than the last. Then Ronnie complains that they might be throwing their only source of meal, but Jonah's thinking it might be smart to know what they're up against. Mitch wants to go at it and accidentally throws it to a seagull. The seagulls eat it on the sand, and Gilbert complains that they should be throwing the dogs to him, but he then witnesses the horror of that sand digesting seagulls alive. Gilbert regrets going to this beach. And then Mitch tries throwing it in a different direction. The hot dog lands and nothing eats it. Kaylee, Mitch, and Jonah celebrate, while Ronnie becomes a Debbie Downer and thinks no one will come for him. Ronnie even recalls that no one will come looking for him because it's been hours on, and a lot of people have already gone missing, so it's safe to say she's losing a lot of hope.
What if every beach is like this?
Jonah's tired of just sitting around and doing nothing about their situation, so he gets up, grabs that surfboard from the car, and tries to traverse the sand, and his friends are warning him against this. Surprise, surprise, he's alive and fine though. So he alters the surfboard with another, and it looks like he's getting by well. So well, in fact, that he suddenly declares that he and Kaylee need to talk. I love how they keep bringing up this cute little drama while Jonah's literally one step away from being sand buffet.
Why don't you ask Vance how later's going for him?
Jonah tries to beef it up with Mitch, but surprisingly, Gilbert calls him out. So playtime's over. Jonah continues traversing the sand, but he slips a bit. Good thing he grabs a hold of that picnic table. But Kaylee notices the sand is shifting the board's direction. Probably now would be a good time to go back, but it's too late for Jonah. The tentacles emerge from underneath and start to touch him. But his upper body strength has some good use after all, because he pulls himself up to that picnic table. He says he's fine, but it's looking like he took some damage. Then he collapses on top of that table. His friends call out to him in concern, and it looks like the sand creature has some sort of powerful jellyfish sting. Jonah's in total pain, and Ronnie thinks it's poison.
Do something, help
I don't know
him!
what to do.
Shanda reassures him that he's okay, and just like that, he's okay. The power of love, everybody. He finds a bag and drops a banana from the bag into the sand. He quickly grabs it and notices something odd. He waves the banana back and forth to the tentacles, and he suddenly jumps on the ground. He's safe because it turns out that the particular spot was where the fireplace was. He's standing proud and eats that banana to celebrate his victory. Sadly, that victory short-lived, thanks to the damage in his stomach getting worse. Looks like the tentacles are very acidic, so Kaylee instructs Jonah to get back on the table. In pain, he gets back to that table and tells his friends what's in the bag. Well, he found some drinks, passed them around to his peeps. Gilbert seems happy about it. He tries passing Mitch a drink, but the pain gets to him and his condition worsens. Kaylee's instructing Jonah to just lay back, so he does. Not much they could do now. So Shanda and Kaylee, left to watch their precious Jonah cry out in agony. Suddenly, they notice the sand moving the boards again. Kaylee goes back to the original objective to get that hot dog at the end of the beach, since that's the furthest the creature could go. Too bad something else comes up. Specifically, Kaylee notices the sand's tentacles getting a hold of tires from Jonah's car. It rattles that car. So now they're really being pushed to that edge. Gilbert's asking where the phones are, and they say it's in the trunk. Wait, Shanda tries to open the trunk from the controls, but Ronnie has a better idea. Pull down the back seat and there might be access to the trunk from there. Well, they're out of luck because those seats don't budge, so Ronnie goes for the more daring solution. Stand on the bumper, open the trunk with the keys. Shanda assists.
Good. This might work.
But before she goes, she writes a farewell note for her mom just in case, and she makes Shonda promise that she'll give it to her. Rhonda stands on the bumper and it seems like she's A-okay. So Kaylee checks up on the other members of their survivor squad. Gilbert's frying like an egg and is in constant pain. And the same goes for Jonah. Ronnie puts in the keys, lifts up the trunk, but Shonda loses balance. Thankfully they're fine though and give it another shot. Since Ronnie's opening it from an angle, it always hits her shins, so she can't do it properly.
Lean back. There's nothing to hold on to.
Shonda comes up with a brilliant plan to use the towel to hold Ronnie. But why don't they just use it as a rope to open the trunk? Oh well. Ronnie holds on tight and opens the trunk, but fails again. Kaylee remembers about the rescue hook, so she gets it and lets Ronnie hold on to it. But again, why didn't you just use it to open the trunk from the... Well, Ronnie lets go of Shonda to get the key, and then she opens the trunk. Suddenly, a car from outside comes in beeping, which surprises Ronnie, and the trunk crashes on her fingers. They all call out to the car, and it turns out to be Beach Patrol. He rolls down his window. They're explaining that something alive is underneath the sand, and it's eating people.
Stay in your car, man. Don't get out.
I don't think he believes him. Young kids on a beach, gotta be drugs. Kaylee reassures him that that's not the case, but he gets out of that vehicle anyway. Lo and behold, he's fine. Turns out the creature's weakness is shoes. He walks over to Jonah and sees that disgusting pus-filled underbelly of his, and then he walks over to Gilbert, saying his friends made a work of art on his face, a real Mona Lisa. Gilbert wants to be freed, so Popo gives it a shot, but he's locked in tight and thinks he might need a forklift. Then he moseys on over to Shonda and Ronnie, witnessing Ronnie's fingers stuck in that trunk.
Why aren't you helping? What is wrong with you?
In 23 years of doing beach patrol, this is the weirdest day, because he doesn't know why Ronnie's friends don't help her out. Kaylee then drops insults and he walks up to her. She and Mitch notice his Tims are just too powerful, and they claim that 2 of their friends already bit the dust because the sand did it. He's looking for the bodies, but they claim the sand swallowed it whole. Of course, with these answers, he's gonna think they look very high and sus, so he replies that he rode here on top of a unicorn. I don't know why they don't tell him to look at the small tentacles hanging onto his shoes. The cop just doesn't want to hear it from these kids anymore, so he tells them that they're all going downtown with him. Mitch and Kaylee refuse, thanks to the carnivorous sand. But he's thinking it's all fantasy and he doesn't want to use force. He warns him again, so he tries to take out his pepper spray, but he drops his keys in the sand. Oh boy, here it comes. He reaches for it, creature grabs him, and for some reason this thing can shake a car, but not this guy in Tim's to make him fall over. Kaylee tells him to use the spray, but he's struggling to get it out. He gets that pepper and sprays those tentacles, but that pepper spray cost him 1 arm. They're all horrified and in disgust at this horrible PS2 CG. Then the cop begs for help. Kaylee says nothing, walks towards him slowly, and quickly grabs that pepper spray, ignoring the poor fool getting swallowed into the abyss. Well, back to square one, but Mitch comes up with a plan to use rubber slippers and towels to travel on the sand. He's also coating his feet with pepper spray. Kaylee warns him against this, but he's got it. Shonda throws him one last towel, but he doesn't get that, and he falls. The sand takes hold of him and let the agony of bad CGI begin.
Help me! You guys!
Soon, he stops struggling and is dredged to the abyss. Kaylee got a good clean look at his end, and I hope she enjoyed that show. Well, she stands up, and then Gilbert begs for his life, but Kaylee reassures him. Heck, she even snaps Shonda out of it and tells her to grab that wooden railing she brings to her. Shonda grabs both of them, and Kaylee sounds determined to get out of there, so she jumps to the car. Then she gives Shonda a knuckle sandwich for having a tryst with Jonah. Looks like they're already good, so Kaylee comes up to Jonah. He apologizes for cheating on her and declares love for her, which Kaylee returns the feeling. Gilbert's instructed to try to twist his body to face him, but he's in terrible pain. After that boost of confidence, Kaylee tries to help Ronnie out of her crushing situation, and she and Shonda manage to pull her out. They quickly wrap her hand in a towel. Then they suddenly stop to look at Gilbert, and then they talk about her and Gilbert's future together. Now where's this monster while all this is happening? Then they use the wooden railings to try and recover Jonah. While crossing the railings, the two are still talking about the cheating incident. And look who came with common sense. It's Ronnie. And she's asking if it's really necessary to talk about this now. Shonda reaches Jonah and she says she needs to get there fast. Ronnie helps Kaylee cross, and then Gilbert says he scraped his belly and he's leaking, but he seems to be okay despite that. Kaylee reaches the table and Shonda helps her up. Ronnie's turn, and she crosses slowly, but she's about to lose balance. With quick wit, Kaylee sprays the sand and she lands.
I'm okay. Ronnie, come on. Come here.
She's alright, but not for long as that sand quickly swallows her whole. Her friends are left to watch her end, and the tentacles are starting to sniff Gilbert from the leak. Then Shonda springs into action with Mitch's plan to coat her feet in slippers, towels, and pepper spray. She takes a run and makes it to the patrol car.
I'm okay.
The gang's celebrating, but Gilbert suddenly gets shaken up. False alarm. Psych, no, Gilbert's sand food. His friends watch the horror of royalty-free 3D assets take him away, and the tentacles shake the patrol car, making Shonda bump her head, and she blacks out. Hours pass, and it's nighttime. Shonda finally wakes up,
We gotta do something.
and she spots an inflatable raft on top of the car. She deploys it on the ground and rounds up the couple to the raft. They all use the raft to get across, but another bad CGI tentacle comes and pulls Kaylee. Thankfully, she gets on top of the police car and reaches for a gas can. But bad-looking tentacles ruin the first can. Good thing she has another one, douses the sand in gasoline, and sets the CGI ablaze. Kaylee gets it, but the creature tries to attack the cop car. Eventually, it succumbs to its damages, and the car is left alone. They take a quick breather. Then they decide to wait out for help in that car as they cry their sorrows away.
Maybe tomorrow.
The next day, a diver comes to make sure that they're all right, and Kaylee steps in the sand. The monster is gone. Shonda steps out with her, and they walk away without Jonah. And finally, the monster is spotted to be swimming towards a larger, more populated beach. Dear God. Party's over, because that was it for the sand. So what'd you guys think about this bad CGI? Let us know in the comments below using that hashtag Cinema Recap. This was The Sand by Taylor and Dodge, starring Brooke Butler, Dean Geyer, and Megan Holder. Until that next bad college monster film, see you later.